So, night 11. We're not near the end. I'm almost near the end of, well, no, I have quite a bit more alcohol bottles to choose from. But tonight, I just went basic. Little Jack Daniels. Yeah, who doesn't like Jack and Diet? Little Diet. Try it with Diet root beer sometimes. Kind of adds a new flair. It's just something, so if you do throw up, it's not like throwing up in high school. It'll be different because it's a different kind of alcohol, a different kind of soda. That's my back page. All right, we're picking up. She wants an easy bake oven, but it was called Susie Homemaker Oven back then. I don't think she's even 10 years older than me, so some of these references to me are just, there's people tracking cougars in town, and like, yeah. All right. Don't judge. Desperately wanting things can be such a trap. Boy, I'm with you on that one. That's a good one to figure out at a young age. Sometimes I'll see a piece of costly jewelry or a pair of expensive shoes, and I think I can't live without them. Most of the time, I end up buying the thing and then practically have an anxiety attack over spending so much money on myself. I can't say I feel that way, but I've gambled it. I've done that. Where I was like, damn, the gambling hangover's worse than any hangover. I hope she's got a paragraph about that. I don't know if she ever got into that. My brother Don was ready to graduate from high school when we moved to Wilcox. When he did, he went off to school in Douglas, Arizona at Cohese College, where he studied aviation. Oh, just like Daddy. I guess he caught the flying bug from our dad. I love how things are always a bug. I always loved it when Don came home because he always brought presents. He'd sweep through the door, making a big entrance with an armful of gifts. I associate Don's homecomings with Christmas and birthdays, anytime gifts are exchanged. So not Easter, not Thanksgiving. We're not thinking about Don because there's no gifts. There has to be gifts. Throughout our lives, Don has dropped in and out, but I still associate him with presents and holidays. Okay, that sentence for hillbillies. Throughout our lives, Don and dropped in and out. There's a lot more behind that sentence than I feel we're ever going to know. That's code for, I ain't seen him in years. I don't know what he's doing. But last time we talked, it wasn't good. That's usually the code behind all that. At least is what I have to be found to be true. My sister LaCosta was more like our mother than I was. I was a hellraiser like Dad. And since LaCosta was a mama's girl, she did more feminine things than I did. Translate that to housework. Won't, won't. She'd be doing the dishes and I'd be out in the garden or playing with the animals. LaCosta was very close to our grandmother, Tucker, who was still living in Denver City, Texas. I think she inherited two things from Grandma. Her candy-making talents, and her entrepreneurial spirit. Grandma was an expert candy maker. And Costa paid close attention to her confectioner's secrets. I probably didn't say that right. She's an expert today, too. I think the reason I wasn't as close to my grandma Tucker as Costa was, is it La Costa? Yeah, but then they drop it. Then sometimes it's just Costa. I think the reason I wasn't as close to my grandma Tucker as Costa was now because Grandma seemed so stern to me. Now I'd wish I spent more time with her. Family was everything to Beatrice Tucker. One time she was staying with us. Mother and Dad went out for the evening, leaving me and Costa with her. They were only going to check on a house, and they thought they might be able to rent, but by the time they returned, Grandma was steamed. You shouldn't be leaving these babies that long at a time, she scolded. They ought to be part of everything you do. Dad didn't disappoint from then on. Believe me, the Tuckers have always been a unit. I was closer to my grandma Cunningham's grandparents. I adored my grandpa Marion Cunningham, and I loved going back to visit the little trailer where they lived in Denver City. There was a smell to the trailer. That's probably not good. A musty smell that probably wasn't all that pleasant. See, I hadn't even read that sentence. But I remember it fondly just because it was in their place. That could be a lot of different things in a trailer. That could be maybe a dead mouse. Maybe just mothballs. Probably nothing great. When we drove to visit then, we'd pull in late. I'd be in my pajamas in the back seat of the car, and Dad would wrap me up and carry me to the door while I was still half asleep. Being carried into that trailer, wrapped in a blanket, was one of the most secure, safest feelings I ever had. They had a little black and white pug, and he'd go barking when we knocked the door. We'd go in, and Grandma and Grandpa would have a pot of coffee and a big pot of white beans on the stove. Everyone would be tired that first night, so we'd get to go to bed and then get started on the real visit early the next day. By that evening, uncles and aunts would be there, and they'd be singing songs like Busted, I don't know that one, and drinking whiskey. Most of the people on both sides of my family are drinkers. The notable exceptions are my mother and father. Dad says he hates to be out of control. Well, I'm going to throw a penalty flag there, because this man has had like 17 jobs. They've moved 150 times. I would say that's a little out of control. No judgment, just saying you can't say both, unless he only means mentally because he doesn't want to be drunk. Therefore, he never drank more than a few beers. In fact, he had his wisdom teeth pulled out without the benefit of Novocaine because he said he didn't want to end up a dope addict. All right. I've had a lot of Novocaine. I've never become a dope addict, but maybe he was just scared. Well, you can imagine that sort of personality was not going to look kindly on a daughter who was prone to excesses of several kinds, meaning herself. He never criticized his family or my mother's family, though. They were a wild bunch, but he loved every one of them. He always tried to find something good or funny or notable about his family members, and then he taught us kids to try to see those things in them, too. Costa and I were very close when we were growing up, even though she was 8 years older than me. I was very much the noisy kid sister, too. I loved digging around in her things, reading her diary, and looking at the things she'd stored in her hope chest. That was back when girls saved doilies and tile sets. When was that? Did I miss that, too? That me, my sisters, we didn't do it. Towel sets. And anything domestic in anticipation of being married. She talks like she is from the 1930s. So strange. Costa always wanted to be a married woman. I don't remember wanting a hope chest myself, but I did love snooping through hers. Well, I know what a hope chest is. That makes a little more sense. By the time Costa started paying attention to boys, I was 8 or 9, the age when kids are thinking up bigger and better ways to needle their siblings. I remember once when Costa got interested in a boy named Fred Smith. He'd cruise up and down our street on his scooter in hopes that she'd invite him inside. She was very shy, and it took her months to even go out and talk to him. She was the one who really believed that kids should be seen and not heard. But finally, she did ask Fred if he'd like to come in for a while. I knew that my sister hated the fact that our furniture was so shabby, even though she wasn't ashamed of our old house. She wasn't thrilled to let just anyone come around, especially a boy who's interested in her. You don't want to lose them on the furniture out of the gate. If you're going to try to keep Fred, I agree with Costa. Let's just keep him outside for a while. We had a rocking chair that had been left in the apartment by former tenants, and it was terrible, terrible shape. It only had a couple springs left, and the stuffing was completely out. Okay, you got to get rid of that, guys. This is the difference. You just don't have a chair there, but not this. We just wadded up some worn-out jeans to replace the stuffing and threw a towel over it. When you don't have much money, you find ways to improvise. Or you just say, you know what, this chair ran its run, and we're going to put it outside. Even if we have to build a chair, let's build a chair. If you can build a bear at the mall, you can build a chair in your home. Okay, so this is getting good. The front's falling off. I'm going to have to get my duct tape out or Gorilla Glue. And hope you guys are doing good. I'm binge watching Jamestown on Amazon Prime. It's about colonial Virginia in 1619. And if you think, staying inside during a pandemic sucks, you should see what these people had to go through. And you know what's even more messed up? They left England, so they did know civilization, and now they're in America. And it's not going well for most of the village in my little show, Jamestown. I'm also simultaneously binge watching Ozark, but sometimes I need to flip from 1619 to 1980. And that's all I got for you guys. See you here. By the way, the fireplace it's gas. People are saying they're mesmerized. You too can have one of these. I really wanted a real one, but it's too much of a pain in the ass. There's a switch on the wall, fire, and I'm looking to get a remote control for it. That's how lazy. But I don't know in a pandemic if that's really a priority to ask the gas guy to come over and say, I'm so tired. Could you get me a remote so I don't have to physically walk over to the wall and hit a switch? I really would prefer a real one, but I'm not home enough. It's too much cleaning and logs and snakes under logs and you know the thing, roly-polies. All right, that's all I got for tonight.